Hello and welcome to the Simply Colorful FiberCast. Today's date is April 21st, 2017. My name is Lynn and I'm your host. Thanks for coming. For the next 60 minutes, let's quilt together and enjoy our Friday night. I'm so glad you could join me. Or if you're in Australia, your Saturday morning, or if you're in the UK, it's late Friday night. So thanks for being up. What a fun week I've had. This goes in the books as one of the most fun. I received my Statler Gammill long arm quilting machine and I couldn't be happier. I'm 2 days in, and before I even show you what I've done so far, I just want to make a big shout out to Zach and Erik at Kawartha Quilting Systems. They did a phenomenal job of delivering my Gammill. I could not have been better taken care of, and they gave me training throughout the day. In the morning I watched them set up my 12 feet long, and in the afternoon they showed me a few basics, and then I started to glass over, and they were just so good at knowing what to tell me and what not to tell me. And I have done one quilt so far. I did my quilter's choice that Jean and Kelsey taught us, and I was trying to do an edge to edge, couldn't figure it out, so I did it in squares, and I tried different patterns, and I know you can't see it very well. I purposely picked a quilt where you couldn't see the stitching, but I'm thrilled with it, and I even put the binding on using my Gammill. So it's been a very fun week for me. It's like Christmas, many Christmases, all wrapped up into one. So thanks for joining me and in the coming weeks. But first we have to finish the mystery quilt so we can then take it over to the Gammill and finish it. Clue 9, that's what we're going to do today. If you're new to the mystery quilt, this is an example of one of the clues. They're available on Patreon, www.patreon.com/simplycolorful. Come join us there, pay a few dollars a month, and have access to all of the clues. We'd love to have you join us. Today's quilt is made out of spools, and you can see in the background here, I'm making two quilts. One is out of cool neutral colors, so those are the blue spools, and then the other one is warm colors, and I know it's not going to show up too well, but I am making two more yellow spools today, and it looks like there might be a delay in the feed, so I apologize for that. At least that's what I might be seeing, but I'm so glad you could join me. Pull out a project and let's work on this together. And I could run out of thread any minute now. I keep thinking it's going to happen. And I have my iron, thank you, Chris. And I have my board, it's working out well. Ooh, when I hit that, the camera moves. Oh, that's right. This is interesting. In the past, because of my new configuration here in the studio, the camera is actually on the same table as my machine. So let's test this out. We may have a very bouncy camera tonight. That won't work very well. But first, let me take a sip. I have my diet ginger ale in here. I find I'm thirsty. I had some delicious salmon for dinner. I've been into salmon, and maybe it's because Alexa is growing them up in Alaska. I don't know. Okay, so the way this block finishes at 9 inches, so it'll be 9.5 when we're done, before we put the sashing on. And what I have done, and it's worked well for me, is paper piece corners. So 4 of them. I don't know what happened to me. Remember when we used to use templates? The template pattern is available, and of course, for anyone who wants to use them, go for it. There's no right or wrong way. So funny how these spools, I think on the pattern I even marked where the background fabric goes. I spend more time rearranging the spools. Let's see, there, and then here. Okay, and put my patterns over in my bag. And put my sashing aside. Cut 2 squares, 3.5 inches by 3.5 inches out of your background fabric. That goes on either side of the spool. Cut 3 3.5-inch squares that go right down the middle. That forms the core of your spool. You see that? And then, like I say, cut out 4 pieces. I use random scraps, and I'm repeating some of my scraps that I've used in other blocks. Again, so the overall scrappiness looks a little cohesive. That's kind of a trick. And 4 background pieces for each of my paper patterns. So I'm going to do the 4 corners and then trim them and then put it together and web it together, and that will be it. So it's a relatively easy block for sure. In fact, I think I saw KB has completed hers already. I'm very impressed. Thank you for all your kind notes about having Karen here. Isn't it wonderful? I just love having her here. Bob and I both do. Okay. So let's see if the camera moves. Won't move. Not too bad. I'll go slowly. So where I'm sitting, we had to rearrange the studio a little bit to get the Gammill in here, and it was delivered Wednesday. Where I'm sitting, straight ahead over the camera, is the front window that faces out to our front driveway. And that's where sometimes you'll see me show a picture when the snow comes in and there's a sawmill across the street. And I used to have a table right in the middle of the room where when my friends come over, we have sew-ins, Carol and Deb come over, we'll sew right there. Well, I've moved that table toward the front of the room near the window. Is sitting over there, and then the door to the studio's over there, and the design wall's back there, and the ironing board is right, and thus is my studio. I love seeing everyone's studio pictures. I love that. I still never get tired of that. So I'm just sewing away here. I always use way too much fabric on my paper piecing. I also want to make a big shout out to Michelle Weaver and folks out at Gammill in Missouri. From the moment I decided to buy this machine on April 7th to the date on the 19th, every interaction was professional and efficient and uncomplicated. And it could not have been a smoother delivery. So thank you, Michelle and team, and Zach, and again, Erik. I look forward to many years of learning and working together. Okay, so. That is a little bit close for comfort. I ended up with 1/8 of an inch seam. That's a little bit tight, but I'm keeping it. Oh, it's nice to just sit of the machine. Can you believe that we're coming up on the end of April? May. I cannot believe it. Did everyone have a nice Easter? Is that what was asked? It was a beautiful day here. Okay, let me undo this one. We should be able to get 2 spools done. Oh, speaking of spools, so I did a little research on spools. Who would have thought such an ordinary thing had so many different definitions and uses? And one of the quilts that I have had in my pile ready for machine quilting is behind me. Do you remember this one from when we went to Missouri last year? The fabric, the funky fabric in each of the pinwheels, turns out is spools of thread. So that's really fun. And there's a spool of thread pantograph that I'm going to use, I think, to quilt it, do an all-over pattern. And there are all sorts of fabrics that are spools. But first, and I know this seems a little bit elementary, but first let's look at the definition of a spool. I pulled these all up. Let's see if, here we go. Spool, S-P-O-O-L. Okay. It's a cylindrical device on which film, magnetic tape, thread, or any other flexible material can be wound. It's a reel, if you will. It can actually, that's the noun. It can be used as a verb, meaning to wind something. So I'm going to spool something. In computing, when you send data that's intended for printing or processing on a peripheral device to an intermediate store, here's how to use it in a sentence. Users can set which folder they wish to spool files to. So it's kind of like send and get them ready for printing. Spool on the printer. Okay, so Merriam-Webster defines a spool as a round object that's made to have something such as thread, wire, or tape wrapped around it. And Urban Dictionary is a locker and can come in a mini or full spool variant. Oh, wait a second. Usually illegal on the street, mostly used in motorsport type events such as drag racings, burnout, and drifting. Ooh, I'm going to have to open that up. Ah, the Urban Dictionary has a different spelling. Ah, okay. No, never mind. Okay, let's back up. Oh, you can't make this up. Okay, sewing room. Here I looked on Missouri Star Quilt Company. That's kind of a neat fabric. Spools of thread. And that's made by Amanda Murphy for Contempo Studios, by the way. Here is the spool thread pantograph. Is it pantograph or pantograph? So that's what I'm going to hopefully quilt on top of that quilt all over. I think it's cute. I think it'll be good. Might take a long time. Okay, and let's see. I don't have much more. Oh, spools. I also wanted to show you ornaments made out of spools. And talk about, have you ever seen Santas carved out of wooden spools? Let's see, spool ornaments. These are really neat. Type in to Google spool ornaments, and you see some really creative ones, including, we keep going up here, there are some Santas that have been carved. Let me see if I can find it. Getting there. Well, here's one. It's a carved wooden Santa. Some people have collections. I've seen collections. So that's what else you can do with spools. Okay, enough about spools. Let's keep going here. So now I have my 4 corners. And I'm going to trim them. Did you see this, Diane? I have my papers in my little basket. It works well. They don't fall on the floor. I'm getting close to needing to change my blade, I think. As always, and I'm sorry I didn't say this earlier, send your pictures or your notes about what you're working on to my email address. It's lmarquidant, MARQUEDANT, @. Remember, it's amazing what we can get done together in 60 minutes. That's what FiberCast is all about. Just sewing together, unwinding. I know many read magazines or watch sporting events. Here in Boston, we hit the bonanza tonight. We have the Celtics basketball. They're playing. I don't know who they're playing. We have the Bruins, who are playing up in Ottawa, I believe. In fact, and we might not do well there either. So I think we have uphill battles. And then the Red Sox are playing too, baseball. I think I heard Bob's commentary was we might have the best luck at winning in baseball, but the other two didn't look so good. So I'm just trimming these up. You should see the floor. Here we go. This is the French fry material. Remember this? We've used that elsewhere. There's talk of going over to Auburn to Apple Tree Quilts tomorrow. If anyone's over in Massachusetts, I believe Ginny Radloff is the new owner. And she will, I'm looking forward to seeing her and saying hi. So again, it's Apple Tree Quilts over in Auburn, Mass. And I think she's having some specials because she's opened the shop. I have not seen it online. I've only heard it from Jean. So, okay, now I'm going to lay these out. The bottom of the spool. This is where I play with things a little bit. And then we're going to do webbing, which you know I love to do. And there is a spool. Now, as I look at that, it's still not, I wish I had the patience or the, I forget the word, but see how this are darker and maybe that, but the others are lighter value. So it doesn't look as good as maybe it could. If I kept better values, it would be a clearer, cleaner spool. The one behind us, they're pretty good. The blues, I really tried to stick to really dark blue so that I wouldn't have it look too funny. But I'm going to go with this. Well, actually, let me see what else I've cut out for the other one. Let's play with this a little. We have time. Oh, there's Allie. So that's a little darker. No, I'm going to keep these for the other one. It's really, it'll be fine. Okay, let's web them together. When I web them together, what I'm going to do is sew these two together, then these two, and then come back and sew that, that, and that. And we end up with all 9 of them pinned with fabric, really. And like I say, any minute now, I keep expecting to run out of thread. And then we'll have to look at a bobbin, which is a type of spool. Now all week, we're all going to look at things. Is that a spool? What else is going on? I think I heard in San Francisco. So for anyone out there in San Francisco, I hope you got your power back. Thought I heard on the news that some people even got stuck in elevators. That's not good. And again, our hearts go out to Paris. There was a shooting over there. Was it yesterday? Awful. We talk about that? I did a couple of FiberCasts ago. You may have recalled me talking about going over to Ocean State job lots and cheap seeds and how I didn't buy them and I should have. Well, I quickly was chastised by my sister saying, don't waste your time on cheap seeds. So I went and I bought some burpee seeds and I'm kind of excited to get them in the ground. One of them's lettuce. I could definitely do that one, right? Even if we have it frosted. They might not make it, but that's okay. And I got some nasturtium seeds because who can't grow nasturtiums? I usually can, which I'm happy about. So it's webbed. And before I sew it together, let's see who's out there. Again, it's lmarquidant@gmail.com. Who's out there? Oh, big shout out to Carol. Carol, in fact, I got an email from a snail mail from Carol that I wanted to share with everyone. Carol has been making some amazing quilts. She has started quilting within the last year or two, maybe even she's in her 2nd year. And she said, Lynn, here are some swatches from the quilt I was working on at your recent open sew. And she says, happy today, Carol. And I love this miniature square. Isn't that wonderful? And that's not paper pieced. I don't believe. I think that's all hand cut and hand sewn. I really like that. And it makes quite the dramatic statement when they're all together. They look like they're spinning. I don't know if you can see the turquoise blue. It looks like it's spinning. Well, thank you for sharing those. They're beautiful. And who do we have here? I just heard a ding. Hark, who's there? Hey, TG Bob. Hi. Oh, how are you? I'm psyched that you're on. I bet you want to see the Gammill. Thank you for your encouragement, by the way. I cannot wait to show you. Of course, I don't have anything loaded because I just finished this one. And tomorrow morning, I'm going to load that one. So I can't show you it working, but at the end of FiberCast, I'll pan over and I'll turn on the lights and show her off. I'm psyched that you're out there. Who else is out there? Let's see. Hey, hey, Diane Z. Hi, Diane Z. She says, what I'm working on, I'm tucking ends on a baby Afghan I designed and I'm doing for a friend. Once all the ends are through, I will put a crab stitch border around the outside. Oh, I'm downloading and I can't wait to see it. Ah, that is so great. Look at you. You're combining quilt squares with crochet. Oh, that is super. Look at that. I really like it. And you know what? That will last forever. Oh, welcome, Diane. I'm glad you're out there. Carol, hi, Carol. Not Carol C, but Carol L. She says, what I've been playing with today. She says, hi, Lynn and all the FiberCasters. It's late here in England, so I'm watching you in bed tonight. I love that. Are you still awake? I'll read your name. Carol, wake up. Carol, I'm reading your note. Oh my goodness. She says, I've spent today getting my Singer 99K working. It took some doing, but she is sewing at last. I've downloaded the latest clue and hope to work on it tomorrow. Oh, good. Have attached a photo of my new baby. What? Oh, she's beautiful, and I love what she's sitting in. Ah, where did you get that base? And look at the spool of thread. Looks so cute. Oh, she looks super. Seriously, that looks like bird's eye maple almost on the base. Well, thanks for joining us from England, and sleep well, or from the UK. And Carol O. Hello, Carol O. She says, hi, Lynn. I spent much of today hand sewing the binding on Dean's quilt, so I'm just watching tonight. Happy sewing and have a great weekend. Oh, Carol, you too. Oh, isn't binding fun? And it's these colors, right? You have to come over and show it to us live or send a picture. I'm so glad you called in. Ding! It's Maureen in Pennsylvania. She says, I'm trying to finish up some UFOs because my son will not tell me what sex the baby is until Sunday of my one and only grandchild to be. Oh, what a hoot. How are they going to reveal it to you? That's going to be fun to hear. We want to know, boy or girl. You could always start making something in yellows and limey greens. That works for both. Oh, that's so exciting. I'm happy for you. Okay. Gammill Inc. Hey, 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 hey. Have a note from them. It says, there is a challenge, a Statler challenge, where you can win up to $1,000 on a Statler challenge, Gammill anniversary special, and more. It says save big in honor of Gammill's 35th anniversary, plus a background fill tutorial from Natalia Bonner, a Statler challenge with a $1,000 grand prize, a new best of both worlds, and more. And it says, for more information, go to gammill.com. It says now through May 25th. Oh my goodness, and there's even more. 1,500 cash off, 2,000 in optional equipment. If you're going to Paducah, by the way, look for Zach. Zach, who came here with Erik and from Kawartha Quilting Systems and set up my Gammill. He finishes his deliveries. They had 4 Gammills in the truck that they were delivering around. I think he might be going to Paducah on Sunday night. I think that was the plan. Well, thank you, Gammill. Thanks for the note. Love you guys. Okay. And Dawn, hi Dawn. She says, thank you for clue number 9. I won't be able to join you tonight since I will still be at a writers conference. Have lots of fun. Dawn is our award-winning best-selling author, so I'm glad she's out there practicing her craft. Why do they call writing a craft? I'm not even sure I like the word craft used in anything, other than maybe craft beer. TG, that was for you. TG is KB's hubby. Do you get it? And he, amongst many, many other things, including the American style darts that he and Karen sell across the country and manufacture and sell, I should say. He also hosts dart tournaments at Dorco's, their local bar and grill and entertainment spot. So that's why I mentioned the beer. I don't think he's into brewing beer yet. Ooh, I'm sorry. Sorry about the juggle. Okay, so now we're webbing this together. To get it caught on, okay. Oh, it is shaking. Oh, I'm sorry. Next week, we'll put it on a different tripod, the camera. In fact, we'll put it on the tripod and then we'll be able to scope it around to the Gammill that will be working, stitching away. Okay. It was nice to see Allie online this morning from Down Under. She had just finished up last week's clue, and I want to say by 6 o'clock this morning, she was working on the clue 9, I think. Okay. So here's our rough spool. Oh, see that? That's too light. I'm not pleased with it. That should be darker. Well, by next week, you may see that I may have pulled that out. Oh, love that little iron. Yep. See, if I had it to do over, and if that's the word I was looking for, I would make that be darker, and I'd make that value be darker. Okay. So there's that. Why don't we put the sashing on it so that I can show you that, and then I'm going to pan over before doing the next one of these so you can see the Gammill. Can't stand it. It's like Christmas. One side of the sashing you want to cut is 3.5 inches by 9.5 inches. Once you put the sashing on the block, it'll measure 12.5 inches by 12.5 unfinished. And then just like every week that in the past, the number of these blocks you make depends on the size of the quilt you're making. In KB and Deb Linehan's situation and several others who are just making a crib size quilt, you're only going to have to make one of these a week and then sew them all together at the end. For those of you who want to, and the pattern gives you the number of squares needed for each one. For a king size quilt, you have to make 4 of them and sew them together into a row. I'm going to pin this. go. We should look at what has happened on this day. We haven't done it this day in history in a while, have we? Oh. I'm going to have to start looking at life. BG and AG, before Gammill and after Gammill. That was BG before Gammill. Did I just goof that up? No, here we go. Okay, so that's a spool. Now, this is not going to be very good pod, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the camera. I'm going to go turn on the lights because I have the light bar. And then I'm going to go behind the camera and I'm going to pan the camera around that way and show you the Gammill. And we'll see if it works. Okay? So you'll hear my voice, but you won't see me. So sit tight. Okay? I'm turning on the light. And with any luck, we're going to pan this around. Can you see? That's where the creative studio is. And there she is. I pulled the head, which is the machine, out a bit. I usually keep her over in the right-hand corner. There are the bars there to load the top and the bottom. The batting is underneath. And the light bar is up above. So again, in future shows, we'll see her working, but I wanted you to see her to know that she's real. Okay, here we go. I'm going back up. Okay. Hello. I wonder if that worked. Let's go on to make our second spool. We have a mystery quilt or two to finish so we can do some quilting on her. Okay, let's put this. Actually, I'm going to rip some papers off. No, I'm going to do that later. Let's just hang this baby up. There we go. Okay, let's do another one. Two background pieces, 3 spool pieces. I think I'll put that in the middle. And pull out 4 papers. I think I have 4 left. 2, 3, 4. Yep, I do. So what else? Who's going to Paducah? MQX a few weeks ago, as was, what is it? Heart and Hand out in Amherst. Could have that wrong. Okay. People that I work with on the technology side. Oh, this was kind of fun. You know how I'm working at Dell EMC right now? The Gammill, inside the Gammill, the computer part, is Dell equipment. So that was kind of fun. Anyway, there are a lot of spring conferences including down in Arlington, Virginia. All of the state government CIOs are getting together next week. And I am staying home to do some work and quilt at night. Okay. Oh, I love this fabric. Isn't that fun? Now that might read a little bit, it won't read nice and flat or clear, but I'm okay with that. Because there's different values in it, you know. Carol, I love your 99K machine. That's a great find. Oh, and I like this cafe. Remember what we talked about a few weeks ago? We're adding in, I could see it better if I put my glasses on. We add in some cafe because it adds some excitement to the quilt. Some little pops of color. He does just amazing things with color. The poison colors like the chartreuse, fuchsia. I've been reading, did I tell you about the fashion book that I got from Pat, my doll maker extraordinaire friend? She gave me a fashion book, and it talks about the chemicals and the color, the chemicals used to create colors over the years and to make fashion. And a lot of the chartreuse colors that we refer to sometimes as poison color actually got their name, not so much because they create a wow in your rug or in your quilt, but literally the chemicals used to make that color toxic and would poison people when they wore it. Or the term comes from years gone by when they made hats with a certain type of chemical in it, and men who would wear it, I think men, yeah, just men would wear it. It would make them go a little crazy. And that's where the term a Mad Hatter comes in. Someone's being crazy. I should have looked up the passages so I could read them to you better. The iron's working well. Thank you, Chris, for the iron. There's that one. See what I mean about it reading kind of funny? It's going to read both dark and light. Let's see how that works. Three, two, 1, 2, 3. Oh, the fourth one is here. Hello. And there's a fourth one. Okay, so I'm going to put these out of the way. Oh, and then I want to find a picture of the quilt that one of my coworkers made, a baby quilt. Made out of black and white, believe it or not. It's really cute, Linda. It's really cute because not only is it very geometric with black and white, but she spelled the baby's name in the bottom. Maureen, I cannot wait to see what you do for quilts for that grandchild. Okay. So good when it's all cleaned up. Okay. There we go. There's another one. I hope you're getting a lot done. Remember, FiberCast is all about what we can get done in 60 minutes. And I know I've said it before, or if you haven't heard me, I want to thank you for being here, because without this, I would not be getting nearly as much done as I have in the last 4 years. So thank you. You're my inspiration and my checkpoint and my weekly wind down, and I really appreciate it. Ding! Who's that? Let me go check. Let me finish this. Some of these scrap fabrics have got to be 30 years old. Like, look at that scrap fabric. Is that from the 70s? It's even more than 30 years old. Okay, who's out there? Hey, Chris. Hi. She says, I'm glad you like the iron. I do. I love it. Thank you. Did you see this? Do you use this? I love, before every FiberCast, I pour that much in. It still has plenty of steam. I love it. Okay. This is going to have the same problem of having not the right values. Oh, well. That's okay. Here, and then our two background pieces. We have another spool, spool. Okay. So now we're just going to web it together. The mystery quilt that we did here on Simply Colorful last fall was a doozy, because we used a piece of Hoffman fabric that was braided. It was like a burst, a nova, supernova burst. I think that was what they called it. Actually, the line is called Supernova. And it was lots of many little pieces, and Sherry and Karen in Pennsylvania finished theirs. I finished mine. It was a doozy. So if you still have that hanging around, I'm sorry. And part of me wants to say, send it to me, I'll finish it for you, but let's see. So this spring's row by row quilt is purposefully a bit simpler. So if you find yourself thinking, this spool, it really isn't that hard, that was kind of the reasoning why. And I know things get busy. We all get out in our gardens this time of year. And I was just, I don't know. Don't you feel like sometimes you're in the mood for different types of quilting? It's amazing we have not run out of thread yet. I'm very happy about that. And there we go. So it's been a good quilt retreat season for folks. I've been seeing pictures online. That's really fun to see. And I know we had our I was going to say staycation, but we had our quilt retreat over at Becky's. Between quilt retreats, quilt shows, quilt universities, it's a beautiful thing. We might even have time to make the row of these. That would be great. Okay. Turn that over. Do one more. Go. Ta-da! Cut that. There we go. Cut that. Yeah. Okay, let's see. We're going to put that like that. Okay. Let's get our sashing on. There. Go check to see who's out there, and one more strip of sashing. I should pin it. Pin, pin, pin. There we go. Oh, we ran out of bobbin thread. Let's see who's out there. That may be our clue. Our cue, anyway. Diane Z, I'm so glad you're out there and could share with us what you're working on. Hey, Zach! Zach from Kawartha. He says, hi, Lynn. I'm tuned into your FiberCast right now. You might have had some trouble with working with edge to edge. Oh, This video link is quite a good walkthrough. She is using CS5 as opposed to CS6, so there may be a few things that look like a refresher. Oh, thank you. She says, Zach says, notably, she's using place to pins as opposed to end of set, which is the new default way of continuing after a roll. So that will be quite different. Things will change again in CS7, so they are working hard to produce more videos for its release. I can't wait. Oh, Zach, and he says, thanks for the shout outs. I'm so happy you've already done a quilt on your machine and even done the binding on it. I have. I kept thinking of you too. And I started, after I quilted the whole thing, and then I started to put the binding and started the center like you taught me. And I went out and up, and then I rolled back. And I just went up, 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 up on both sides. And then I went on the top. Oh, I'm so glad you tuned in. I know you'll love your machine long into the future, and we'll be happy to help you along the way. Thank you, Zach. Thank you very much for that link. That's wonderful. That made my night. Sewing Kathy, hi. She says, oh my, she's a beauty. Wow, she's also huge. I know. Congrats. So happy for you. Have fun. Enjoy quilting. I'm watching and will work on my blog tomorrow. Have a nice weekend, Kathy. You too. You too. I loved your notes, Kathy. Oh, Wendy. Wendy from Down Under. Oh my goodness. She sent a picture of her oldie, Zach and Erik. And look at the quilt that you have on it. There we go. Wendy, I didn't know you had one. Oh, she's a beauty. Oh, with a big throat too. And is that your quilt? I love your quilt. Oh my goodness. Chris, Jean, Kelsey, look at that beautiful quilt. I love that. Aww. She says, so Wendy says her Gammill's 20 years old. Wow. Carol over in the UK, she says, she titles it Spooling Tonight. She says, hi, Lynn and FiberCasters. Hope you and the FiberCasters have had a good week. I've just squared up my spools and hope to get them sewn together tonight. Excellent. She says, my niece has just made the official announcement that she is pregnant, and so I can feel a baby quilt coming in my future. And I think that her 3-year-old son may need a new one so he doesn't feel left out. Yours, Carol, in Yorkshire, England. Oh, I love your spools. Look at how she did them. Carol, you rock. I love the consistency. They look much more like something is wound on a spool. That's how to do it, folks. Nice. Oh, what a good way to end our FiberCast. Oh, and one more. Crystal. Hi, Crystal and Wendy. They're watching live today. Finally, you're not gallivanting around the country. I love the pinwheel quilt behind you. Thank you. I haven't been sewing at all, which I'm planning to change this weekend. I've started a new job and it's interrupting me. Unbelievable. It's getting cooler here, thank goodness, so that will help get me into gear. I'm enjoying watching this row by row coming together. Have a great weekend, everyone, and love from Australia. Right back at you. And with that, I want to thank you all for joining me from all around the globe. Again, thank you for what you do to keep this art alive. So have a wonderful weekend, great week, and I'll see you p.m. next Friday night, Eastern. Bye, everyone. I have to find my mouse. It moved. Bye.